Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our presentation. We're going to talk about the reflective writing survey and the resource investigating the practice of reflective writing for summative assessment. This is a project that was funded by the University of Glasgow's Learning and Teaching Development Fund, and the lead of the project was Dr. Micky from the School of Modern Languages and Cultures. My name is Sasha. I was the intern on this project. I am the second year PhD student in School of Education, and I'm joined today by Tom.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tom. I'm a former master's student at the University of Glasgow and former intern on this project.
So we would like to tell you where the inspiration came for this project, and then we'll tell you what we found in it and what we came to eventually. So the inspiration came from the lack of common understanding of what is reflective writing that was found among the practices of teaching and assessment of the members of this team. And there was no common ground on what constitutes a good reflective writing, how to teach it, and how to assess it. Therefore, the ultimate goal of this project was to develop something practical and to disseminate the resource hosted on Moodle, which would be university-wide for all the four colleges across the university, in order to enhance the reflective academic writing practices. And this project aligns pretty well with the learning and teaching strategy, as you can see from the slide, and it also aligns well with the literature in this field. So I was the one responsible for the mapping out the practices across the University of Glasgow courses. And for this, we did web scraping of all the courses taken from the course catalog web pages which were publicly available. And even though this looks like a big table, what we did is that we tried to identify in the descriptions of each course if there were any reflective writing elements. And by saying elements, I mean if the description had at least a word that matched the keywords. And the keywords like essay, portfolio, journal, log, diary, or more generic like words containing critic or the words containing reflect. And the main point from these tables, what we found is that not all of the courses in the University of Glasgow, of course, use reflective writing. Actually, it's just a fraction, 8%. But there are some colleges which use reflective writing more than others. Specifically, we're talking about the College of Social Sciences and Arts and Humanities, and a bit less for the MVLS. As you can see, the courses in science and engineering have courses with less reflective writing, but that's pretty much aligns with the common knowledge about discipline. As you can see from the pie chart in the top right corner, some schools have more courses than others with reflective writing elements. In the top three, mentioning School of Education, Culture and Creative Arts, and Social and Political Sciences. This is just a word cloud of all the words from the descriptions of all the courses which have reflective writing elements. And on the right, you can see a donut chart, which shows you different types and distribution of these reflective writing assessment types. And here, the top goes to the general, and by general, we mean those instances where the courses wrote about reflection or reflective piece or some very generic name in comparing with essay, portfolio, report, and so on. So in our project, we targeted the University of Glasgow staff and students. We produced both qualitative and quantitative data, and we used mostly two methods. So the first one was the online staff questionnaire, where roughly 109 staff members replied to us. The reason for that was that that staff members wouldn't have much time for the interviews or focus groups, whereas the focus groups were targeting the students. And as we didn't have any financial incentives, we used a simple snowball sampling in order to recruit students, and we recruited 11 students from PGT and PGR level. We didn't have a representation of all the schools, and as you can see with the arrows, we got the biggest response from staff members from School of Education, Culture and Creative Arts, and Social Political Sciences. As you could imagine, these are exactly the top 3 schools mentioned in the mapping activity, so this aligns quite nicely. And as you can see, there are some schools where we didn't get any response from the staff members. And this chart will just show you that on the PGT level, as there are more courses there, this is where the reflective writing is being assessed more in comparison to undergrad and PGR level. Moving to Tom.
Okay, so through the questionnaire, there was actually a large variety of responses and interesting findings. However, we found that these were the key ones, particularly with why reflective writing is used as an assessment. So primarily it was to enable reflection on practice, to enhance students' professional competencies, self-reflection and self-assessment, as well as help students identify connections between experiences, course material and reflection, and to critically reflect on learning experiences and practice. So I think within critically reflecting on the student learning experiences, some staff were allowed to comment further on these aspects within the questionnaire. So I think this particular member of staff actually mentioned that it was quite useful in kind of enabling students to reflect on their own development throughout the course. This person also commented that it was very quite enjoyable and stimulating to mark too. And also that some students kind of seemed to take a lot of enjoyment from it as well, because it was a less traditional form of assessment. And also into the next point, the kind of comments and discourse surrounding kind of traditional assessment were also continued. Some students were kind of sometimes resistant to any assessment that seems different. So this member of staff also commented that guidance was quite important in enabling them to succeed. And also empowered differentials were also mentioned. They mentioned that it shouldn't matter, but it would, the power differentials between staff and student matter, but shouldn't be overstated as well, as they're all reflecting on kind of similar issues. And I think within the focus groups as well, although it was quite difficult to recruit students to participate in these, we were able to kind of identify some really kind of key findings and kind of interesting perspectives. Students really engaged, and we saw that students were able to kind of apply theory to practice, develop a critical lens on their own practice and decision-making processes, as well as like fostering transferable skill for any future work. The challenges that they did mention were kind of authenticity, imposter syndrome, grading structure, and just their overall purpose of reflective writing too. And again, this particular student in the focus group commented that although it could feel quite boring to do a piece of like reflective writing, and it may feel quite meaningless. It may just feel as if it's like part of the course and doesn't perhaps bear any significance. So I think this is maybe something we can all consider going forward as well, as if kind of reflective writing is more performative than the gym. Again, students also commented on the need for additional resources, particularly with YouTube, friends and family, and other peers groups. And I think this also was quite reinforcing for us throughout the project. It really kind of reinforced and enabled us to kind of recognize that we were doing the correct thing, necessary thing in developing this resource for the university.
Mm-hmm. So tapping on the need of students for additional resources, we actually created the resource, which is hosted on Moodle, and you can see this QR code in the top, in the bottom right corner, and you can go and access it. It should be accessible to you, so there is no enrollment key, and you'll be able to see it. This is just a quick guide through. This course has a very basic structure. It contains all the information we just mentioned about the resource. It contains some fundamentals about the reflection and what is reflective writing. It also has a more procedural part about how to do the reflective writing and what to reflect upon, including different frameworks that we took from the literature about how to reflect. This resource also contains extra support and the University of Glasgow services, and lastly, the feedback for the resource. So in conclusion, we'd like to say thanks to all the team members involved in this project, these lovely people at the bottom of the slide, and for the continuing support from the staff of School of Modern Languages and Cultures. All the illustrations you saw were designed by Nick, which you can see on the left in this group picture. And the outlook of this project looks like the evaluation of this resource, taking in mind the feedback left for the Moodle resource, and later fine-tuning, and ideally developing into a self-paced course or a MOOC or a massive open online course. So thank you for listening, and yeah, take care.